Um, what a brilliant day I'm having. I've got the luxury of speaking to some of our killer suppliers, people who've been doing remarkably brilliant things for us. And today I'm speaking to Dave Ellis. Dave Ellis from PGC has been instrumental in helping take businesses internationally into the States. So S3, Nigel Frank, RDLC.
Our mission is to make it as easy as possible to enter the US market. So we operate in the US and also Canada. Our main sort of solution, our main product offering is payroll and contractor management. But as you said, around that, we do a bunch of kind of advisory stuff. We don't charge for it. We're not kind of consulting technically. And like you said, we've been in this space a really long time. So we've been in business for 20 years, trading as PGC for 15 of those 20 years. And so we've worked with loads of really, really great brands, helped them set up and launch in the US, help them grow across the US, help them launch into Canada. So we've kind of seen what works well, what hasn't worked well. We see it as our job to stay very close to the US market, keep people updated on, you know, what's the news out there, what's coming down the pike, and that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. That's what we're trying to do. So
the role that you play and why it's important to have someone really close to you when you start building this out and an ongoing relationship, because you know you guys are proper extensions of the business, and it's different. It's very different to what you might be used to doing anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people say about the US and the UK is two cultures separated by a common language. And I think what people are saying is we speak the same language, but culturally there's massive differences, right? So particularly around employment and recruitment. I mean, there's so many things I could touch on in terms of the differences, but you know, really good starting point is that notice periods basically don't exist in the way that they do in the UK or Europe. So even a permanent employee, they're going to have 2 weeks notice. Most of the contract market have an at-will notice period, which means you can literally be fired on the spot or you can leave your role on the spot. And one of the key differences that I see, or a couple of the key differences, firstly, the fact that the US is obviously one country, but you've got 50 different states within one country. So it's 50 different economies. They all have different legislation, different taxes, different cultures, like massively different cultures. And that's been really highlighted, obviously, by the recent election. And you just see kind of how polarized the different parts of the country are. So that has some complexity when it comes to doing recruitment. And then the other key difference as well is just the prevalence of employed contractors. So people watching this might have heard of a W-2, which is the most common way that contractors are engaged. So roughly 70% of the market are employed. So this is in the contract market, they're employed. Either the staffing agency or the recruitment company are doing that employment. But more often than not, an employer of record like PGC is used to do the employment. And it's a little bit like an umbrella company, what an umbrella company would do in the UK or Europe. But the main difference is exactly what you said, where the employer of record really becomes a big part of that business. It's almost more like a outsourced back office rather than a supplier that you're just sort of sending your contractors to.
So effectively, you're paying for healthcare. You're looking after the well-being of all the staff. I mean, there's a duty of care element to this. It's not like a freelancer, a B2B relationship, and they manage themselves.
Exactly. So because they're employed, it means you have to pay taxes on their behalf. So that's on a federal level and on a state level and on a city level. In the US, it's a federal requirement to provide healthcare. People probably would have heard of Obamacare. So Obama brought some legislation in which basically mandates all employers to provide healthcare to workers. Overtime, you need to pay overtime. You need to get insurances to cover them. Some states have paid sick leave laws. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things that a staffing agency or a recruitment company has to take on because the workers are employed. And that's really where we help out. It's been an interesting year. Certainly, obviously, some points, as with all businesses, have been pretty hairy, and it's been like all hands to the pumps, and we've had to work really hard to keep our clients up to date and make sure we're on top of everything. But the last few months have been amazing. So we've seen, record numbers of new contractors, record extensions, and, the contract market is really, really booming now. So obviously the permanent market has taken a hit. There's lots of people unemployed in the US. It's really high numbers of unemployment. But the sectors that we primarily operate in are kind of IT, digital, tech, financial services, life sciences. They've all remained really buoyant in the contract space. So we've got clients who are doing really, really well out there at the moment, really flying. So yeah, excited coming into the next year, and hopefully we'll see that continued recovery in the market as a whole.
And thank you for that. Can I just pick your brains? What's locations that are hot, markets that are moving, anything that people can do that's could be a bit smarter? Any advice you can give for people who are doing the States or thinking of doing the States right now, or markets they should keep a watchful eye on that are really going in the right direction?
Yeah. Okay. Really good question, Gary. So, I mean, some of the states that we've been talking about over the last 12 months or so, which are kind of not the obvious ones that everyone goes to. So not New York, not California, these kind of places, would be Florida. So we've seen a lot of companies launching in Florida. There's some really good incentives for businesses there. And also Texas, specifically Austin is a really good location as well for business right now, particularly tech, IT, that kind of thing. And then actually what we've seen more and more as well, and I don't know what your feelings are about this, I can guess, but we've seen more businesses who are taking advantage of the market without actually being in country as well. So I think that's an interesting proposition for companies to say, actually, we can test the market, see if there's an opportunity for us there. And then if there is, we can look at launching down the line. Okay. The US is made up of really big players, enterprise size, thousands of recruiters. And a lot of those are quite old fashioned. And then you got your mum and pop, exactly. So there's definitely a space for a kind of niche supplier to come in as a SME high growth business. And that's what a lot of the RDLC brands have been doing. Yeah.
And again, I would definitely do what you suggested. You trade from over here and you build up a nest over there, get to 50 contracts to run those, and then you can go over knowing that everyone's going to get paid, because it's quite expensive getting them over there. You have to pay significantly bigger salaries, but it's a totally different gig. And if you want to go to the West Coast, it's whatever you think your expensive house is, double it to realistically, and yes, it's very expensive. So you've been nothing but genius for us this year. There've been so many people who've been looking at those markets, and you've really put in the effort. So on behalf of myself, Dean, and the rest of the RDLC members, I can't thank you guys enough. And obviously for all of your advocates and associates who've got together to help businesses launch over there. If anybody is ever thinking of working in the States, you have to work with these people. Whether you come to RDLC to make it easy or you do it all by yourself, you still got to work with these guys. So I wish you a brilliant Christmas. Hopefully Biden doesn't hate us and we still want to keep trading over there, but doesn't look likely at the moment. But everyone's better than a Donald Trump in a nutty mood, I guess. So thank you from us. Have a fantastic Christmas. Thank you for doing this. Hope it gets some traction for you. And we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks, Gary. Great to be here.